In this tutorial in Microsoft Excel, I'd like to show you 3 more functional ways in which you can add to your skills in using arrays. I'm going to start out with a small and large. Now, without using arrays, you can use the small formula or the large formula. I've illustrated it here in row 11 and 12. In row 11, cell A11, I have calculated the smallest number in the range in blue. You just simply type small, and then you type your range. Here it's A1 through A9, comma, and then 1. 1 will get me the smallest number in the list. Over here I have another illustration. If I want the second smallest number, I just change the number after the comma to 2. That returns the value of 4, which is the second smallest in the list. I can use the third smallest, fourth smallest, whatever. In a similar way, cell A12 is a normal formula for the largest number. And here I simply use large, then I define my range, put in a comma, and then I use 1 for the very largest number. Again, if I wanted the second largest number, I would change that to a 2, and that would give me my second largest number. But what happens if you want to total the top 3, the top 2, the bottom 3? That's when an array comes in. In cell A14, I'm using an array, and I'm using the same basic structure, but I've altered it. For example, if I want the 3 smallest numbers totaled equal to the sum of, then I use my small. I use the same range, but instead of 1 or 2 or 3, I use an array with the curly brackets of 1, comma, 2, comma, 3. It will go through and in memory create a total for the first smallest number, the second smallest number, the third smallest number, add them up and put the result in cell A14. In the same way, if I want the 2 largest numbers and I want the sum of them, I do sum large and I do my range, and then I add an array inside my formula, 1, comma, 2, and I get a total of 142. Now here I have my 8 largest numbers. I'm going to click on cell A16 and you see how I did it up in the formula bar. It's the sum of large and the same range, but then I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in my array, and then that gave me the total of the 8 largest numbers in my list. Let me show you another thing that you can do with a formula. In this case, we're using the is text option. That determines if a cell contains text. So in this range here, I have words, I have numbers, and I have a blank cell, and I want to determine how many text cells I have. So I'm going to count the number of text cells. So I use the formula if, then I use is text in A1 to D3. So if the answer is that yes, we do have text, because of the if statement, it will give me a value of 1, and then if it doesn't, it will give me the value of 0. And so I'll add all the 1s, all the positive hits, it will equal to 6. Notice I put this in an array because that way it will go through every single cell in not simply the first cell and give me a grand total in cell A5. That's what I have here. So it assigns 1 to a true value and then simply adds them together. There's another way to shorten the formula where you don't need the if statement, because if true multiplied by 1 is always equal to 1 and false multiplied 1 is always equal to 0, you can shorten it, simply say the sum of is text, same range, multiplied by 1, and again we're using this inside an array formula. as you see over here. So if I take this blank cell and put in put in oats, in either case, I've correctly detected I have one more text word. If I take that out, whoops, if I delete that, I go back to 6. If I change this to a number, it goes down to 5. So it's a nice way to determine if you're looking for text or almost anything, but this is one simple example of how to use that in an array formula and count certain kinds of values you're looking for in a range of cells. Let me give you another one that's kind of functional here, excluding zeros. Now if I do my normal average in cell B11, all I type in is the average of B1 to B8, and that gives me an average of 38.25. But what if I don't want to include the results of the people who have a 0 score? Well, if I don't want to do that, I can do that with an array. In cell B10, I have the array that you see typed out in cell C10. It's equal to the average of, if the range B1 to B8 is not equal to 0, then the result is whatever cell I'm at B1 and B8. And what it will do is it will go through and create an array in memory only of those cells that have a value of something greater than, that's not equal to 0. And then it will give me an average of them, and the average is 51.